How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and joining me for the first time since we were talking about it before we started recording, we think it was sometime leading up to the NFL season last year was the last time we did a show together, but I really wanted to do one together because, again, it's been quite some time. And joining me today is my co host, my buddy, Ben Upson. Ben, how are we doing today?
Kenny, it's great to be back in the chair with you, my friend. It's been a long time. It's we used to do this every week during college. Now it's more like, do we do this twice a year? That's kind of what it's
I
turned
know.
into right now.
I mean, like,
We gotta we
like, at
gotta bring
some
it back
point.
into the fold.
Yes. I mean, it's always like, at some point, we will do an episode again. It's just, with our schedules now changing and, lives are changing, it gets tougher, but I I know I always say this every time we do an episode together. I always say, "We're gonna try to do this every week together," and then it just doesn't happen, but it's more of, like, my fault. I'll put the blame on myself. But yeah, we're gonna try, if not every week, every other week. We're gonna it's gonna get to the point where it's not one day here and then we're not together for the next several months. So that's we're gonna try to get to a point where it's multiple episodes over the course of time and not just one and then months without us doing a show together. But anyways, going off on a tangent there. So a few things we're gonna talk about today. I haven't touched upon this yet, but we're both obviously going to have a lot to say about this. This is the first time doing an episode since John Sterling passed away, the Yankees' longtime radio play-by-play announcer. So I wanted to start off the show by talking about that topic, and then also with the Knicks being in the playoffs. Obviously, I really like to have Ben on because he's really more into the Knicks than I would say I am. Obviously, when the Knicks are on, they're in the playoffs. Of course, I'm locked in watching the games, but also to have another voice to break down, a little bit of the first round series. We could talk about that with the Hawks, and then how Game One went against the Sixers. So we'll get into that as well, and then maybe a little bit of NFL draft stuff. Because I know if you're watching this, probably sick of hearing me talk about stuff going on with how the draft went. But to get Ben's perspective on the draft and how the Giants did, and some other teams as well, if you have anything to say on that, even talking about the Jets, too, and how they did. I said I thought both New York teams did pretty well with the draft. So we'll see how it all plays out. And the NFL schedule will be coming out relatively soon, so that is exciting. But to go back to what I said, is starting off by talking about John Sterling. So, the other day, the news broke that he had passed away at 87. Lived a long life, and lived life to the fullest. And the one thing that you hear from a lot of people is just the fact that he was the soundtrack of the Yankees, and I think that's like a perfect way to describe John Sterling because, from the time that I started watching baseball and, listening to baseball whenever I was in the car with my family, we're driving somewhere, like it was his voice. Like it was his voice. And I always associated the Yankees with John Sterling. And he didn't miss a game for 30 years basically, which was incredible. And, up until 2019, because 2019 was a year. I mean, the Yankees won over 100 games. It was like everybody was hurt, not just the players, but the announcers were hurt too. Michael Kay was dealing with he had the issue with his vocal cords and he had to get surgery, right? And he was out. And John Sterling also missed some time too because he was dealing with some health issues as well. So it was like everybody was dealing with something that year. So when that happened, I was like, wow, John Sterling missing games? I thought I'd never see the day. And then, as we kind of went along, people would fill in. And then, 2024 came around and he announced his retirement. And, you had different people filling in: Justin Shackle, Emmanuel Mabardi, guys from FAN filling in too. but then he came back for the playoffs and, did, a couple series towards the end of the regular season, did the playoffs. So at least he got to, and then he officially retired. So at least I know the World Series is a World Series that Yankee fans tend to forget, but at least he went out with the Yankees in the World Series, doing World Series games at least one more time. Um, and then in January in January he had a heart attack, and he made an appearance on the Fan. He called in and he said that happened, and then yeah, like I said, the news broke a couple days ago that he passed away at 87, and again, lived a great life. And it is very sad because, you're not gonna be able to hear his voice because he was making appearances on, I saw he was hosting a show on WABC, at times and, talking sports and, once in a while he calls in to a radio show and obviously they'll post it on social media if you don't get to listen to it, but, we're not gonna have a chance to hear John Sterling, any new content that comes out and any interviews or any appearances, which is very sad and again, just an iconic figure with the Yankees. But I mean, there are plenty of archive footages and calls that you could always just go back to. I mean, how many videos we saw, get posted of just all the iconic calls and I know like for us, when we would do the radio show and being at school, like we would always like be, like not like we'd be poking fun a little bit, just having fun, like calling things like Sterling because that's how he came off, and it was fun and one of the things like anytime the Yankees have a new player they'd get somebody, from the trade deadline, off-season acquisition. Like one of the first things you think about is, all right, what's Sterling's home run call going to be for this guy, you know? And and then you would hear it and you're like, wow, I mean, some of them like would fall flat, but others you're like, yeah, that was great. And then others you're just like, where did that come from? Like Giancarlo Stanton's home run call, you're like how does he come up with this stuff? You know? Um but yeah, it's just and he another thing too is, like, he was he called the games like it is, like, even if the Yankees lost, like, in the World Series or, they lose a big game, like, he wouldn't act like a homer, right? He would call it like it is, like, he wouldn't be super, ecstatic over the other team knocking the Yankees off, but he would call it in a non-biased way, and he'd be very critical of the Yankees at times too, which a lot of Yankee fans appreciated as well. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, and also like for us, it's another like part of the childhood that now kind of goes away. But our hearts go out to his family, because Susan Waldman was talking about it that like his kids were taking care of him through this time, and they were there by him every step of the way when he was trying to when he was recovering from the heart attack, and it just unfortunately he passed on, but all good things. He was a great person from what we've heard. Was never really nasty to anybody, and he is going to be missed. But the Yankees have like a special patch that they're going to be wearing on the jersey for the rest of the year, and they got the JS on the back of their hats. So he is never going to be forgotten. Um, it's sad day, but also again, just to be able to celebrate the life of John Sterling. That's going to be going on, really for this season and for many years to come. He's not going to be forgotten. He's one of a kind too. Obviously, there's never going to be another John Sterling. Dave Sims has been doing a good job, but John Sterling is one of a kind, and he's going to be missed. And yeah, I mean, I know like from time to time, I'm always going to go back and listen to some of his old calls from over the years. And a lot of the really good calls happened really before we started watching baseball because, like, you go back to the '90s dynasty and and all that. But yeah, he had some pretty good calls, in my lifetime. Jeter's 3,000th hit, Judge's 62. Called A-Rod's big home runs. He called he was on the call for every single one of Derek Jeter's games. Like, they're always going to be connected. And actually, Jeter's Yankeeography was on the other day. So I was watching that a little bit. And yeah, I mean, he did all the Yankeeographies also. I mean, he did a lot. And yeah, he really did put his stamp on the Yankees franchise, and he's always going to be embedded in the history of the Yankees and all the big moments, with the '90s dynasty and onward. But yeah, John Sterling, you'll be missed. And again, heart goes out to his family and his loved ones during this time.
He he was a special announcer, John Sterling, and like with his passing, that almost kind of signifies one of the last, I think, greats of baseball radio. Because if you just think about some of the all-time greats like Vin Scully, Bob Uecker, Jack Buck, Harry Callis, like all of these iconic radio voices, Red Barber, Mel Allen, um, John Sterling's right on that list. And baseball on the radio is like one of the last, well, it's really becoming more of a lost art now because with streaming and everything, you can watch games from anytime, anywhere, any place. And but to me, like whenever you were outside on a summer night or like at a family party or something anywhere in the car, like you said, like baseball on the radio was a perfectly accessible way to stay connected to a game that you were interested in. And, John Sterling was the soundtrack of Yankee baseball for 36 years. I'm pretty sure the final number was. And
Yeah, I
the
think that's
fact
right.
the fact that he didn't miss a single game for practically 30 years before stepping out for a few days to go attend his, I think, granddaughter's graduation or something like that. That it's incredible. The guy was a workhorse. He thought that Yankee baseball wasn't a job, it was a passion. Like he brought his A game to the table every single night in the booth. And I mean, like as you've said, Kenny, there's so many memorable home run calls, memorable clips out there that have been resurfacing like crazy over the last couple of days. But it's like I grew up on the Swishalicious. You're on the mark, Teixeira. It's an A bomb from A Rod. El Capitan for Jeter. Like those are those are just a few of the home run calls that were, you know, so good. And then, like you said, you had the more obscure ones, like for Harrison Bader. I'm just wild about Harry.
Yep.
you know,
Also,
the
you
refer-
remember Dean Anna?
no, I can't
All
say I
right, so he
remember
was
that one.
all right. So I don't know, 2014. I think it was it was Jeter's last year, obviously, and it was like Anna is on the dean's list, like just something like that.
Oh, wait, I no, come to think of it, now that you say that, I do remember that. But yeah, like these are the moments that we remember from John Sterling because it was his own unique way of, calling a baseball game. And everybody has their own craft in this industry and it all gets to make yourself stand out. You have to be unique, you have to be entertaining, and that's exactly what John Sterling embodied for all that time. And I mean, like obviously he was having complications, as you said at the end, and let's not forget too that John lost. Didn't he lose? He lost his house. I'm pretty sure, like 10 years
Yeah.
ago in a
That's
fire,
right. Yep.
and he lost almost like everything.
Yep.
Like the man has been through so much in his life. I mean, and obviously, he has multiple kids. I know that he was divorced at the end too. Um, like I mean, he's been through so much in his life, and Yankee baseball was the joy that he brought to everybody. Like tall and small. And I know for a fact, Tommy Lugauer had a great tribute the other night on the fan, because believe it or not, Tommy actually, I believe, was producing Yankee games for WFAN years ago. So he got to work with John a little bit more on a personal level. And I mean, he echoed some of what you said, Kenny, about how he was always a down to earth, insightful person. And, like once you got to know that side of John Sterling, like it was just an amazing experience. And obviously, I mean, him and Michael go way back, like back to when I think John and him used to didn't they do some games on the Yes Network like when it first started, something like
I
that?
don't
It
know.
was
I don't
something
know about
about
the.
that.
I don't know about the Yes Network, but like Michael was like the color guy to
Right.
Sterling with the radio,
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's right. They did do radio for a bit.
and they
And
would like
like
switch on and off, like Michael would do
right.
play by play one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and that's always been a method of attack between some of the play-by-play announcers and the color commentators. Um, but like I said, I mean, two absolute legends, and you said that Jeter and Sterling forever connected. Well, Bob Shepard, Bob Shepard was the last one who had a connection to Derek Jeter too, because all you heard every time was now batting for the Yankees, number 2, Derek Jeter. It's like it's just these are the memories that you have with this organization. The Yankees are rooted in history and tradition. And between Bob Shepard, John Sterling, and Michael Kay, you arguably have three of the most recognizable voices in baseball, perhaps, all
oh yeah.
in a line. Like it's just crazy to think that I mean, we've been spoiled like with this franchise. I mean, maybe not us. Like our parents remember what the '90s were like. We don't, but I mean, like, um, just because it hasn't happened recently. I mean, obviously the banner still says 27-time world champions, and John Sterling got to see at least what eight of those titles. I think probably
Mhm.
more than that, but um and you can't forget that uh before the Yankees too, he used to do Braves games. He was doing the
Yeah, he was
New
doing
York
hockey.
Nets. Yeah, some
Mhm.
hockey. Yeah, what were the New York Nets were I think well, who are now the Brooklyn Nets, but I'm pretty sure that's what
Mhm.
they started as, the New York Nets, the New Jersey Nets, all that. He did some
Mhm.
of their games. Like there's been so much that John's done. Like actually the call of the July 4th Braves game in 1985 has been resurfacing this week. The one where it went, I think, like 18 innings and a guy with like a .60 batting average hit a walk-off. And it's like,
Yeah,
I
hit a
can't
home run. Yeah, it
believe
was
it.
a pitcher. Yeah, it was a pitcher.
Right. Yep. And
Mhm.
yeah, like, so even before he came to New York to start calling, you know, Yankee games, John Sterling was already making a name for himself elsewhere. And like I said, one of the best to ever do it. I mean, radio and sports is becoming a lost art, as I've said. And, John Sterling was one of the last true, you know, broadcasters who could paint the picture for the listener. And that's what made him so good to listen to. And I mean, I know for a fact he got me through the 2015 Yes Network blackout. Thank you, Comcast. Um, still don't have MSG Network either. So, gotta love
Well,
that.
you don't have to worry
But
about that because the Knicks aren't on MSG during the playoffs anymore.
exactly. That's why we have national television.
Mhm.
Um, but without a doubt, like John Sterling was the soundtrack to I think a lot of us growing up, and especially for baseball fans around the country who just wanted to listen to a Yankee game from California or anywhere else. That's the beauty. Like John Sterling's name got out more because once the streaming era began and you could start streaming games right on the MLB app, radio or television, I think it helped open people's eyes to who John Sterling truly was. And an absolute legend, he's going to be missed, and definitely lived one of the coolest lifestyles that you could probably ever ask for. And a
Yeah.
July 4th baby as well. How
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, and it was his dream. His dream was to, be the radio voice, and he got to live his dream. And
And
like you said, he was a
one other thing actually, come to think of it. 20 this had to have been I think 2016, 2017. I remember that my dad and I were sitting up in the terrace level and we were far enough to the right that there was a bit of a line of sight to the WFAN booth because of course,
right.
the way like the Yes Network booth is to their left and then I think
Mhm,
WFAN's in the middle, all that.
mhm.
Um and I remember that like John, you could see John had the window open. He was definitely getting ready to like, tape the open or something like that. And I just remember I was like, Dad, I was like, we got to yell down to John Sterling. So like my dad tries yelling, and of course I'm like, no, no, no. And then so I just yelled out like at the top of my lungs, I was like, "Hi, John!" And then I remember he just waved out the window. I was like, "Oh my god, that's
Oh,
so cool!"
nice. I don't even think you
I
ever told me that.
and then he shut the window because he probably had to start taping. But anyway, yeah, that's the one John Sterling memory I do actually have because I mean, just because he was 3,000 feet away from me, I just figured we had the opportunity, so you might as
Yeah,
well have done it because
you might as well try, and you got
yeah,
his attention.
that's
No,
right.
that's
I
awesome.
mean, he did wave back, so you know what? That's all we can ask for.
Unless he was waving at the
So
people behind you. Nah, I don't know.
yeah, unless some people were behind us waving like lunatics too, but we were the only lunatics waving at him, so I guess he probably realized it was us. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's the one little John Sterling story I had to get out there. I'm glad I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, a workhorse, he called 5,426 regular season games and 225 postseason games, and from '89 to 2019, he called 5,060 consecutive games. Just didn't miss a game.
it's unbelievable.
I mean,
It's
crazy.
unbelievable. Yep. I mean, and like I said, at least for a good while down the road here, we're still gonna have those players that were some of his last home run calls, like Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and I mean Giancarlo Stanton's still gonna be around. Obviously, like there's a bunch of guys that we're still gonna be able to think of John Sterling even when he's not with us now. Like it's just his legacy is forever. Like
Yeah.
I I don't I should probably know this, but does he have a plaque in Monument Park yet? Like Bob Shepard?
I
I
I don't
I
thi
was
I
thinking
don't think
about
so.
that the other day because I was
I
like,
think I actually was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
because it's
I
it's got to
yeah.
happen regardless. Like John Sterling belongs
Oh,
in Monument
yeah.
Park,
Yeah.
so like, and so will Michael Kay eventually, and like
Mhm.
everyone who comes after that, who knows? Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe like I said,
Well,
soon
they're gonna
enough
run
the
out of
Yankees.
room.
Well, you're right. We're gonna run out. The franchise is gonna run out of numbers. They're gonna run out of room in Monument Park. It's gonna be.
They're gonna have to
It's not gonna
extend
be.
Monument Park into, like, the bullpens. Make the
Yeah, they're gonna
bullpens
have to knock.
smaller.
They're gonna have to knock out the bleachers and the bullpens to create
Yeah.
more space.
Yeah.
But um, but regardless, like I said, it should happen this year too. Like Yankees, let's get this ceremony together. Let's get everybody in the house. Let's get a
Yeah,
plaque for John out there. Yep.
I think so, I think so, and I think they did a great job on I feel like the with when stuff like this happens, I think they do a great job in, like, short notice to, like, do, like, a little kinda, ceremony of some sort, um, and put together a nice tribute video. They do a good job with that. So, but yeah, they will. That's definitely coming at some point. We know it is. There'll be another celebration, and yeah, I mean he's definitely gonna get something. 100%.
Yeah. No, an absolute icon, and I mean the uh the story too from Michael the other day that he was sharing about how John was trying to,
Yeah,
get better because he wanted to walk his daughter down the aisle this summer at her wedding. I mean,
yeah.
I that's it's tough. Like that is tough. I mean, so clearly John was still in it even when he wasn't doing well. Like, and that's amazing because I've seen it before personally, like, with my own grandparents. I'm sure you've seen it with some of your relatives too, Kenny. It's just it's so tough to watch the end. And I mean, luckily, I hope John was surrounded by his family. I'm sure he was, and I mean, he obviously had all of the Yankee universe around him, and everybody, like the amount of outpouring and the tributes I've seen, like even from other baseball fans, even some of our most hated rivals, Red Sox fans, I've even seen, um, you know, paying their respects, and Phillies fans, like Boston, Philly, LA, like all these big market teams that we despise, like that's the best part about sports. The unity is what makes it
Yeah.
so special. And no doubt though that John Sterling had one of the biggest support groups around him, and we're gonna miss him for sure. And hopefully Dave and Susan keep doing what they're doing because they're both great in their own respects as well.
Mhm. No, that's right, 100%. And I think John also would be pretty proud of how the Yankees have looked. If we to talk about the Yankees, right now and how they're playing. I mean, they're doing pretty well. And the calendar's not it didn't flip over to June yet because we know what happens when, we get to June and the June swoon rears its ugly head like it has the last few years. But I don't think it's gonna happen this year. I think there will be some times where the team goes through a little bit of a funk, but I'd like to think that it's not gonna go on for a month and a half like it usually does over the summer. And they kinda went on their funk earlier this year where they were struggling while I was away. So maybe that was the June swoon, was that beginning portion of the year where they're kinda struggling, the offense was struggling to get it going. Now, I mean, it just seems like everything is working at the same time. The starting pitching has been great. The ERA is the best in baseball. Um, the bullpen is kinda the Achilles heel right now. I think they're definitely gonna
Yeah.
have to make some improvements there, but every team needs a reliever at the trade deadline. So I'm not really worried about that, and also when they get Colin Rodon back, some guys are gonna be sliding into the bullpen. So, the bullpen I think will be fine, and the Yankees always seem to field a good bullpen, although last year was, again, a weakness, but I think they'll figure it out, and the offense has been great, and guys that have been struggling in the early portion of the year, they're starting to figure things out, like Ryan McMahon, especially, who was batting under 100 to begin the year. Now he's starting to hit the ball a little bit. Does very well at third base. I mean, some of the plays that he's made over the last few weeks, incredible. Um, and the shortstop situation, which I talked a little bit about the other day, Jose Caballero's been playing really well, both offensively and defensively. Does get picked off, and caught stealing, quite a bit. But you know what? He's an aggressive base runner, and he's a pesky player, and you like to have that on your team. Jazz has started to get it going a little bit with the bat. Cody Bellinger's been on a tear recently. A couple of inches short of having, three more home runs to his home run total. Judge obviously is off to a good start. The batting average is starting to come up, but the power numbers are there, the RBIs are there, and we could be seeing a home run race between two teammates, him and Ben Rice. And the last time the Yankees had a number 22 batting in front of Aaron Judge, well, won an MVP, hit 58 homers, they went to the World Series. So again, don't want to get too far ahead, but just saying, just saying, Ben Rice has been awesome. And, yeah, I mean, they're only gonna get better. Like I said, Cole and Rodon are gonna come back, Stanton's gonna come back eventually, but it is gonna kinda complicate things a little bit because now Dominguez is up here, and he had a very good game the other day. He had a couple of hits from the right side, hit a home run from the left side. So, if he can figure it out hitting from the right side and could just be an average fielder, I mean, the sky's the limit for him. So, I've been happy with, and I'm sure you have been too, of course, how the Yankees have performed. And you look at the landscape of the American League, I mean, The Rays obviously keep winning too. They're right behind the Yankees, but the American League is there for the taking.
Oh, it's wide open. I mean, like it's wide open for the Yankees right now. I mean, yeah, outside those two teams, it's the A's. The A's right now, who are third in the American League at 18 and 17, and they're 6.5 games back. I mean, yeah, and obviously, like if you look league wide, I mean, it's the Braves have been red hot, and the Cubs have won 7 in a row right now. The Yankees have won 15 of their last 17 games. Um, yeah, the Cubs, the Dodgers, believe it or not, are the ones who've been a little. They've stubbed their toe a little bit the last week or week and a half. But look, I mean, once you get into May, the month of May here, like I've said forever that Memorial Day is the first like real benchmark of like okay, like this is where everybody is. Now we're gonna start to find out who's for real, who's not. Somebody who's not for real right now, the New York Mets, who have the worst record in baseball entering today. How about polar opposites for the city of New York right now?
I know it's unbelievable, and like that their offseason got off to an interesting start because they got rid of their core, and then they were signing like Jorge Polanco, and the limo trade they got Marcus Simeon. So I was kind of like, what are they doing? But then they signed Bichette, they traded for Freddie Peralta, they bring in Luis Robert, and I was like, okay, like maybe, they won't be too bad this year. Compared to, some of the other teams like the Phillies, like Zach Wheeler was hurt. They lost Ranger Suarez. So I thought, maybe they take a little bit of a step back, and they have, but now they're starting to trend back up after they fired Rob Thompson and promoted Don Manningly to be the manager. And then the Braves have kind of underachieved the last 2 years, and their pitching staff, some guys were banged up. And, Acuna the last couple years has also missed some time. So I just thought, maybe and the Marlins and the Nationals, are still kinda, trying to work themselves back. So I thought, yeah, the Mets with the payroll and they should be the favorites, right? So I said, "All right, take them to win the East." Well, doesn't look like that's happening. They right now, they don't even look like they're gonna sniff the playoffs.
No, it's really bad, and obviously the entire talk about Carlos Mendoza, like should he still be the manager of this team? To me, you can say what you want about the Rockies. Okay, the Rockies are a better team a little bit this year from what they were last year. I mean, but as soon as the Mets got swept by the Rockies in that last weekend of April, which was about what 10 days ago now,
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the final straw. I expected on that Monday off day last week. I was like, okay, Mendoza's got to go today. It's unacceptable. Like you can't get swept by the Rockies and lose 10 of 13 and still expect to have a job. Like it's a disaster. And I mean, that's the other thing. The Red Sox moved on from Alex Cora. The Phillies moved on from Rob Thompson. And the last 7 to 10 days, both those clubs have been trending a little bit more in the right direction. The Mets aren't trending anywhere right now. They're just stuck in neutral. Like there's just nowhere for this team to go right now. And like you said, they're 10 games out of the East already in the first week of May. And there's just nothing right now that's going right. I mean, I mean, I don't know where they go. Like they're just trapped. And I
I
mean,
know, and at least,
obviously,
like, with the yeah. And at
I'm
least
I'm
with the
sure
Yankees,
Stearns doesn't want to fire Mendoza because
yeah.
that was his guy, and obviously Steve Cohen is Stearns' guy, and like it's just a whole chain of they're all buddies. That's the thing, and like it's just gonna be it's gonna get to a point where it's like something's going to happen because right now nothing's changed, and it looks like a disaster is unfolding. It really does.
No, but at least for the Yankees, like, they have reinforcements on the way. Like, the Mets, I mean, Lindor's out right now, so he's gonna come back, and Luis Robert, but, I mean, that's really it, like,
Yep.
they had guys like they brought back Tommy Pham for a little bit, and with the payroll that they have, like, that's that's what your plan of attack is when you need some help, is you bring Tommy Pham in? Um, yeah, and then, like, you got guys that are playing first base that haven't played first base before. Jorge Polanco, Brett Baty, Mark Vientos. I just I didn't understand that, like, and you know what, like, you look at some of the guys in the rotation, like Noah McLean, been very good for them. Clay Holmes, I think, has been a pleasant surprise. I did not think I didn't think he was gonna translate to a starter. I just didn't believe it because of the issues that he had, in the bullpen, and now you're asking him to pitch 5, 6 innings, but he's been able to do that. He's actually been one of the Mets' most reliable starters, but you're still having issues with Kodai Senga. David Peterson was an all-star last year, and since the all-star game, I mean, I don't know what happened to him. Sean Manaea has dealt with his struggles, and Diaz obviously went to the Dodgers and they signed Devin Williams, which a lot of us said, well, I mean, he wasn't too bad as a middle reliever, a setup guy, but as a closer in New York, not really working out.
No.
Not really working out. Yeah, so and it's been on full display this year. So yeah, it's just I don't know, but when the season ends, I mean, and then and they got a record that's on pace for I mean, I think last time I saw on Twitter they were on pace for like 52 wins, something like that. Like heads are gonna roll.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the Yankees are on pace for about 100 plus potentially. Like, and I mean, that's the thing with baseball. I mean, obviously, when you're hot, you're hot. I mean, as you said, everything's going right for the Yankees. Aaron Judge once again on AL MVP race. It's him and Jordan Alvarez so far. And in the home run ring, obviously going to have some tough competition potentially if Murakami keeps mashing home runs every night for the White Sox. Rookie of the year pick. I mean, it's looking pretty good so far. Um, but yeah, I mean, Ben Rice has been obviously, I think, a phenomenal story. Like he has a dozen home runs already as well, I believe, this year. Cam Schlittler and Max Fried are both on. Can we say they're probably both Cy Young favorites right now? Like having two
Yeah,
Cy Young favorites on
yeah, you
one
definitely
team
can.
is pretty crazy. And like you said, with no Cole and no Rodon, like, and the Yankees are setting the pace in the AL. Like, of course, it's only May. We know there's a ton of baseball left, but as you said, like with reinforcements coming and the team already being in this much of a groove so far, like it's like it again, we don't want to hang our hat yet, but like obviously compared to previous seasons, you would say that looking at this team so far, they are once again in the mix for a World Series and should be there in the end. Um, and obviously, who the heck knows what's going to happen? I mean, we're not going to have a full season of baseball next year, so I guess you might as well try and strike while the
Yeah.
iron's hot if you can.
You don't know. Maybe they agree to something. Maybe they get
Maybe,
something done.
I,
No,
maybe, but
I mean compared to the last CBA, because I mean I had my reservations with the last CBA because I was like, are they gonna miss time? But at the same time, I was like, they're gonna get something done. But now because of what they're gonna be, what the talking points are gonna be now, I'm like, the salary cap. I that's gonna be tough to negotiate.
yeah, it's a strange time in baseball right now. There's going to be a lot to figure out there. But that's down the road. What matters is that there is a full baseball season this year. And like I said, right now, the Yankees are right there. And everything is working right now. Offensively, pitching, defense, like every aspect of the game so far is really going well for the Yankees. And I mean, hopefully they keep this up. I mean, winning 15 of 17 games this early on is a great open. But as we say all the time in baseball, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So
That's
It's
right.
gonna have to keep up through that June swoon, as you were saying, Kenny.
Yeah, we still got a little bit before we get to June, but once we get to June, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be watching with the both eyes wide open because you just you get afraid when the calendar flips because that's just what the track record's been the last few years, like I said. So, but I do
And
want to
on
talk
that
about.
note,
Oh yes,
there is a team that is hoping to play into June this year
that's
in New
right,
York.
and that's what I was gonna get into right now, and that's we talked about them throughout their playoff run last year, and that's the New York Knicks. So I got to say, right now they're playing at their best right now. They're playing at their best. I mean, since that game, what was it? The game 3 loss to the Hawks,
Mhm.
and they went
Yep.
down 2-1. They have like completely flipped the script. They have looked like a different team. Everybody's contributing. Like even Mikal Bridges is contributing. Like the clincher against the Hawks, like all 5 starters were great. I mean, the pure domination of the Hawks and putting up 83 points in the first half. And that was right, that was the largest halftime lead in a playoff game in NBA history. Like that's
Mhm.
unbelievable. And they've kind of picked it up right where they left off with that series because, I like Philly, they had the 3-1 comeback against the Celtics. They win in game 7. Jason Tatum obviously was out for the game, so that definitely changed things. But Embiid came back and was playing well, and you had the whole starting five playing together. So going into the series with the Knicks, I thought this series could definitely go 6, 7 games, right? If Embiid is healthy, and now all of a sudden the Knicks dominate game 1, and now Joel Embiid is out for game 2. So now this series, the way this series is going now, the Knicks could win this game in 4 games, sweep them. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say if Embiid is out multiple games, I'll say it's more of like a gentleman's sweep. But I mean, again, the way the Knicks are playing right now, it looks like they're going to wipe the floor with the Sixers and move on to the next round with ease.
Yeah. These last 4 games, the Knicks have won by an average of 33 points. 33 points.
I mean, that's insane.
It it's it's crazy because if you watch the Atlanta Hawks series game for game, like you definitely realize that the Knicks were the better team, and realistically, they should have finished it in 5 if they don't blow game 2 at the Garden. But to each their own, it happens. But as soon as they lose game 3, I can't even believe I was kind of starting to doubt them because I was like, this is just it's terrible. They've lost both these games by 1 point. The Hawks are, digging in and they've played really well. But clearly, Mike Brown and the players must have, just come together and said, let's go kick them down because that's what they did to Atlanta in those last 3 games. And if you really look into it, see what happens when the Knicks don't have to play hero ball through Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter because that was their Achilles heel in game 3. Game 2 was really more of just a lack of defensive effort down the stretch. But game 3, they were trying to, have Brunson, play one-on-one half the fourth quarter. Like it's just not a feasible option. And when Cat gets into foul trouble and things like that, it gets troublesome. And I thought that was going to be the case again on Monday in game 1 against the Sixers because all of a sudden he picked up 2 quick fouls. Then Mitchell Robinson came in. He had 3 fouls, I think, by the half. And so Ariel Huck-Porty was in the game, which I couldn't believe. But it didn't matter because the Knicks made 19 threes. 19 threes on Monday. And like I said, you add up these last 4 games. Their scoring margin is plus 135. They've
That's
demolished
unbelievable.
the Hawks and the
Yeah,
Sixers. Demolished. Like it's not even close. The offensive connectivity has really come alive. And All of a sudden, the last couple of games, Mikal Bridges is starting to grow back on me. Finally, something that we needed to see for a guy that we traded 5 first-round draft picks to get. And, it's just like it's so cool watching this team right now because the way that they're playing basketball on both sides of the ball ever since that game 3 loss to Atlanta has just completely changed. I mean, like let's not get too crazy. Like obviously, there's still the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs, and either the Pistons or the Cavs will be likely waiting, in the East Finals. So, um, but you got to be super impressed with what the Knicks are doing right now. I mean, people don't really realize, but the Knicks do have depth. That's something that they were missing in those first playoff runs with Thibodeau, and then really started to build once they got Towns and Bridges onto this roster, and it's really shown. Like, I mean, now granted, I would like to see Mike Brown how he coaches again now in a close game because the Knicks aren't going to win by 40 every night. Like, it's just not what's going to
No.
happen. But like, um, so we need to see a little bit more of how Mike Brown coaches in those close game situations. But look, I was personally pleased with the Mike Brown hiring in the offseason. Do I think the Knicks moved on from Tibbs a little too quick? I still believe they did. But Mike Brown is doing a good job so far. I mean, I saw a rumor out there that that he might be on the hot seat if the Knicks were to not win the Eastern Conference Finals, which I think that would be crazy if they decided to
I
pull
mean,
the
well, think
trigger
about what
after.
happened. But what happened with Thibodeau last year? They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in years, and they let him
I
go.
I guess, but I mean, of course, you look at this Knicks roster, and you should say, well, they should be a finals contender. I mean, they're definitely the third best team probably that's out there right now behind the Thunder and the Spurs. They're the best in the East
Well, I
with
would say you just got to be careful
without
because
Boston.
some of our listeners that might be a fan of a certain player on the Pistons, they might say something otherwise.
That's fair. That's fair. And with all due respect to Detroit, they're a good team. Hopefully, we face them in the East Finals because that would be a good challenge. I mean, look, all I can say is Boston, where are you at? We don't see you. I remember literally just 10 days ago. So many Boston fans, even at work, are like, "Yeah, well, see you in the second round." Yeah, you're up 1, we're up 3-2. What? All right, yeah, it looks like it's gonna happen. And then over the weekend there was a game 7 between Philly and Boston, and it's like, what? Wait a minute, what? They're not done yet? What do you mean? It's game 7. It was 3-1.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you're a Boston fan, now look, obviously they've done a lot of winning over the course of our lifetime, so it's kind of just, I mean, it really doesn't matter. But if you think about all four teams that they root for over the course of the last month, it's kind of been a rough stretch in more ways than one on the field or on the court and off the field. Because, like, with what's going on with the Patriots, we don't really have to go into that. But I'm just saying, and it's not going to get any better, it seems. And then, the Bruins get eliminated. The Red Sox fire their manager, and we're not even like halfway through the
and the
season.
Yan- and the
Yankees just
Yankees
started.
sweep them.
The Yankees swept them, which prompted them to fire their manager. But yeah, Jason Tatum being out, Game 7. If he plays, I mean, I think the Celtics win that game, and then we're having a different conversation. But yeah, it was just a rough stretch for Boston sports. But it's again, it's not the grand scheme of things. Really, isn't that big of a deal because they've won so much, and again, some of these teams are gonna get back to work and still be playoff contenders. With the Red Sox, I mean, I don't know what they're doing. You know, so um,
They're a train wreck too.
yeah, I know, but it's more about the ownership. You know, like they're not spending and like they relying on
Nope.
their pitching staff to, you know, do well and they score just enough runs. But Garrett Crochet didn't get off to a good start. Now he's hurt. right? Ranger Suarez hasn't gotten off to a good start. They have no power in that lineup at all. So yeah, that's where they're at. But yeah, no, it's Celtics are out. Knicks are dealing with the Sixers, and right now they are in a very good spot. But like you mentioned before, I think it's really important that it's not all on Brunson and you're getting contributions from everyone. Carl Anthony Towns has been great as of late. I mean, a couple games, a couple of triple doubles over this stretch, and they're using him in the right way. He's attacking the basket, and obviously he could shoot from the outside and, he was brought in to be kind of that running mate to Jalen Brunson. And also another guy that's underrated that just continues to produce in the playoffs is OG Anunoby. I mean, the guy started off 5 for
Yep.
6 in the clincher against the Hawks. I mean, he couldn't miss a shot. I mean, he's been great. And obviously we know what Josh Hart brings to the table, his energy and, his ability to get rebounds and attack in the glass. So, and if Bridges, continues to play how he's been playing, and they got a deeper bench than they did last year. I mean, the Knicks are going to be tough to beat no matter who they play. And obviously, I think when you look on the other side of the bracket with the Western Conference, yeah, I mean, looks like the Thunder. I mean, look, the Spurs gave them a problem, but the Spurs right now are down to the Timberwolves. That could be, an interesting series, especially with
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards being back and he came off the bench and hit some big shots for them to beat the Spurs in game one. Um, I still think, and I said this before the second round, right before these matchups began in the second round. I thought it would be Thunder Spurs, in the Western Conference, trip to the finals. And obviously the Spurs gave the Thunder problems during the regular season. But yeah, look, I think the Knicks, like the way they've been playing, if they can play to a degree like this, like I don't, again, like you were saying, I don't expect them to be blowing teams out every single night, like by 30 points. But if they could play like how they've been playing, and guys from all angles are contributing, I mean they can beat anybody. They can hang with anybody, and that makes them really
No doubt.
dangerous. If they continue to progress and move forward in these playoffs. But
And
yeah,
the
I
the
mean,
best
they look
part,
good.
the best part too about that game 6 against the Hawks is that you didn't even have to sweat that game at all.
No,
It was
there was
it was
never a point at all.
72-22 at one
Yeah,
point. And
yeah.
then,
I mean, that's
Mitchell
crazy.
Robinson and Dyson Daniels start jawing at
Hmm.
each other, and then they both get ejected. I thought it was
Yep.
great. Like, I was
Yeah.
like,
I know. I know. Thankfully, the game was out of reach because imagine, like, Mitch gets ejected, but they're in a close game. Like, then you're like, oh, well, that's one big guy that you lose for the game.
and like I'm sorry, like I don't know who's running the game day ops down in Atlanta, but the swag surf is a big thing down there. Like, all due respect, but don't pull it out when you're down by 53 going into the fourth quarter. Like, nobody's doing the swag surf, getting
No,
hyped
the
up
Knicks
when you're
fans
losing by a
are.
million. Well, right. It was only the Knicks fans. Everybody else is like, just cut it out. Like,
Yeah,
it's terrible. So yeah, they gotta fix that for the future, Atlanta. Just save it for next year. Like, you guys will be all right. You'll be back next year.
yeah. I know. I thought for a moment that when they were down 2-1, because people were talking about it a little bit, that like CJ McCollum was like the reincarnation of Trey Young
Mm.
because he was doing well in the beginning and then he kind of just he disappeared down the
He,
stretch. But also it's
yeah,
because the Knicks just really stepped up their game.
yeah. I mean, well, correct. And like the thing that was kind of crazy was like, everybody's talking about, oh, CJ McCollum, the new Garden villain. It's like, what? I don't know about that. I mean, Reggie and Tyrese and Trey are all Garden villains, but I'm not quite so sure about CJ McCollum for that. They lost the series anyways. But
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about that now. That
no,
narrative,
we
I
don't.
think, got put to bed.
Um, but yeah, just the way the Knicks flipped the switch on both ends of that series is just astounding to me because I didn't see any of it coming. I didn't. I mean, like, game 4 happens and they were up by double digits most of that game, and I think they won by like 15. Like, you know, they started playing complementary basketball, and then they just carried all the momentum right back with them to the Garden. And by the way, like it's not being talked about enough. But the Knicks this season, okay, at the Garden, they were 30-10 in the regular season. The Knicks have been phenomenal at Madison Square Garden this year. Like, um, and they have like it doesn't matter how good or bad the Knicks have been in the last 50 years, mostly bad. But this crowd has been here through thick and thin, supporting the Knicks year after. I mean, did you hear the chant during game one in the first quarter? I think it was like a Brunson mid-range shot, and then the crowd's screaming defense 30 seconds into the game. It like it's literally New York or nowhere is the freaking motto for this city. Seriously. Like it's just crazy. Like the best fan base in the country. A little bit greedy because they're like, Knicks in 4, we're going all the way. I don't know about that yet, but
Well, yeah, we don't listen to that. We don't listen to
yeah,
that.
we're
You gotta
not
be
we're
more
not part of
level-headed.
that. Yeah, we're not part
Yeah,
of the
no.
diabolicals. We're just the hardcores. But like, yeah, nobody's talking about how good the Knicks have been at home this year. And obviously in game 2 now with no Joel Embiid, like I'm
You
sorry.
can't
Yeah, you
afford to slip
have
up.
to you
Yeah,
have to
you have to
win
win
this
this
game.
game.
Like there's no excuse. And I mean, winning the first 2 at home in any series is a huge advantage because then that puts the other team they have to win 4 out of 5. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you one thing, this Philly team is not built to win 4 out of 5 against the Knicks. I can't
No, and
see it.
especially if Embiid is out.
And also, obviously, of course, I hope Nick Nurse is doing well. I know he had to attend the funeral of his brother on Tuesday and literally jump right back into coaching. I mean, I can't even imagine having to deal with something like that
Yeah.
during, one of the biggest playoff series that Philly has had in years. So like it's obviously really tough to, have to handle all that. But yeah, with no Embiid though, it no excuses. Like this has to be the win that hopefully can put the Knicks onto a path. Maybe if they win tonight, can they wrap this up in 6, maybe even 5 games? I would certainly hope so, because right now they're playing a totally different brand of basketball these last 4 games, and it's turning into a run that you start thinking about, can this team play games in the month of June, like I was saying off the top? Because right now, the Knicks certainly look the part of a team that can be playing June basketball in the NBA Finals.
No, I agree. I agree. But, I do look again over to the other side, and you obviously, I think the Pistons are gonna end up, moving on. That's gonna be
Mm.
standing in your way, and if the Knicks move on, obviously, and the Knicks struggled with them this year. But also, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they go 0-4 against the Pistons in the regular season last year as well?
You
I think
you might be right about that. And then obviously the Knicks would go on to win in the
yeah.
postseason in 6
Mhm.
last year.
Right.
Um, yeah, and like obviously, yeah, the Pistons themselves have had their own like in NBA history. Only 13 teams had overcome a 3-1 deficit. We saw it not once, but twice this first round. I
Mhm.
mean, really impressive. And the Pistons were one of them. I mean, they had to fight against Orlando. I mean, there
Yeah. I mean,
excuse me,
Orlando
there
should
was
have
there
won
was
that
no
series. They choked that lead in game 6.
right. Yeah, they were up by yeah, that's right. They were up by 22 at the half in game
Yeah.
6. Like never should have choked that away. But
And I mean, they just could not hit a shot in the second
right,
half.
and
They missed,
obviously the
like, their
Pist
next, like they missed, like they went, like, it was, like, 23 they missed, like, 23 shots in a row or something. They couldn't make anything, but also, I mean, you gotta credit the Pistons too, as well, but it was just like they could not score at all.
right. Yeah, you're right. 23 consecutive field goals the Magic missed in that game. And I mean, obviously, we know the Pistons are built on a defensive identity. That's kind of who they are. The whole Detroit basketball, all that. I mean, but um, yeah, like I think like the Cavs are going to give them a fight in this series. Like, let's not fool
Yeah.
ourselves. But I still think the Pistons will ultimately come out of that. So the hope is Knicks take care of the Sixers in 5 or 6 games, and the Pistons, the Cavs just beat each other up for 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. Um, but yeah, I mean, like this. If you think about, like, we've said it for years, Kenny, with the Knicks in the playoffs. Like, what is this city going to be like if the Knicks were to make an
Well,
NBA
I will tell you
Finals?
right now, if they won an NBA championship, I wanna be nowhere near the city. I wanna
Yeah,
be
don't
watching it
don't
from the
don't go to work. That's all I can say. Don't
well,
go.
here's the thing though, I don't you know what? I don't have to worry about it because with now, like, my job change, I'm working more traditional work hours. So, if the Knicks are playing, I'm home. I'm not gonna be in the city, watching the game from the office. I'm gonna be home, and that's where I wanna be if that does happen because I well, then again, though, where I am, I'm going to Grand Central. I'm not going to Penn, so I don't have to worry about that. Now, if I had to go to Penn, that's a different story. But I get Grand Central. I'm good. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, keep going to Grand Central. It might be better
Oh,
off.
oh, oh, of course. Penn Station has completely like left my rotation. I unless I am going to a Knicks game, unless I'm going somewhere that's unless I'm going to Madison Square Garden or I'm going somewhere that's close to Penn, it's always going to be Grand Central from here on out because it's more convenient for me. So I don't have to worry about that. But again, either way though, I don't want to be in the city. I don't want to be in the city for the Knicks winning the championship. I don't want to be there for New Year's Eve. I want to be as far away from the city as possible. I don't want to be in that traffic. So, but again, that doesn't mean that I don't want the Knicks to win a championship. I do, but it's just, I'd rather be now if the Yankees are in the World Series, I want to be in the stadium for it.
Of
I want
course.
to be I want to be in the stadium. All right? That's different. But for anything else, like I just said, the other two things I mentioned, I want to be home. I could be home. I think people that go to the city for New Year's Eve, I think a little crazy, a little crazy. I don't see the appeal, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, having 1.5 million people all crammed together, watching a
And there's
light
no
up
way
ball
out.
drop down a pole. Yeah,
Yeah, it takes
okay.
yeah, it drops and then that's it. There's nothing else to it.
It's that, yeah. But anyway, like just thinking about what could be ahead for New York sports this calendar year is it's crazy. And look, we're moving up in the world. We got the FIFA World Cup final going right to MetLife
Uh,
Stadium and
yeah,
buy those
yep,
$150 train ticket prices. NJ Transit, right?
mhm. Well, that I don't have to worry about, but, New York sports, I mean, look, we always talk about it. I mean, is this the year that it turns? Do we finally get a championship? I mean, listen, the New York Liberty, they did win a championship, but
And yes, let's
people
give them the credit for
yeah,
that.
we
They
gotta give them
deserve that.
credit. We do have to give them credit for that, but between the NHL, the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, somebody from that core, someone has to come out on top because it's been too long.
Also, a note on the NHL: the draft lottery happened on Tuesday night. The New York Rangers were projected, or I guess the analytics or something said that they were supposed to have the third best odds, I guess, to be the number one pick.
Right.
Well, I got stuck with number 5. And the Toronto Maple
And
Leafs
then
are
and
the
then
team.
meanwhile, last year, right, the Islanders, they somehow find their way to the number 1 pick.
Exactly. And now the Toronto Maple Leafs had the number 1 pick this year.
Oh,
It doesn't make any sense. It's like the
no,
Rangers the Rangers are you know what? I'm gonna say this right now. Maybe the Rangers are the new Knicks. I'm not kidding. Like maybe
really?
we need to have the Knicks be this good and the Rangers are just gonna be this bad because that's usually what happens at the Garden.
Well,
The
but
Rangers
no, but they were in the playoffs at the same time recently, like,
no, you're right, they were, but the downfall of the Rangers has been
Yeah,
it's been terrible.
even I'm surprised by it because, like, they had a deep playoff run, a few years ago, which, we were watching one of those games
Yes.
against the
The
Lightning together,
the 20 yeah, the 2022, the
and
2024 Eastern Conference
and it's like
Finals.
since
Yep.
then, it's like, what happened? They're
Yeah.
trading people, and it's just now that I mean, they finished
Yeah.
last place in the East, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Trading away Jacob Trouba and Chris Kreider and selling off Artemi Panarin this year.
Yeah,
Wow. It turns out that didn't work. Wow. How about
yeah.
that? See what happens when you
It's
decide to blow up the core.
unbelievable.
Yeah, never forget the Tampa Bay Lightning game in your basement. That one will live on forever.
I know. I'm surprised nobody, like, called the
I
cops
spooked
and
half the
said,
people in your house that night.
I don't even think anybody heard you other than us because it just nobody said anything. I'm like, "Nobody heard Ben scream?" "No." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "I'm surprised nobody called the cops or anything saying like, we just heard like a loud scream. Somebody I think is in pain," which someone was in pain.
Mentally, not physically. but
Yes, yes.
but
Oh my
um
god, that was
but yeah,
unbelievable.
look, we I know we've been saying it the last couple of years, but things are starting to look up for New York sports. I mean, not the Mets. The Mets were the team that was supposed to be in
I
the fold
know.
too, but
And y
right now
and it's
they're
funny,
not in any
we
fold or
sound like a
anything.
broken record because I feel like we always come back to this conversation. New York sports, is this it? I feel like we've had that on multiple occasions, whether it was when we were used to do the radio show to, now whenever we decide to do a show together, it always comes up at least once. And you know, maybe, maybe, maybe this
But
is the year.
what it ultimately boils down to, Kenny, is that the one trait that sports fandom is built around. It's a four-letter word. It starts with an H. It's called hope. That's the
And then
one trait.
sometimes you put another word in front of hope, and that's what you get.
You're right. You get false hope, because that's what it has been for years and years. So that's the thing, and well, and the Giants too. Maybe the Giants are back in the mix now. Obviously we'll get into the draft in just a second, a little bit, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, the stock chart is moving this way for New York instead of this way, which it has been forever. See what I did? Stock, New York, huh?
Yeah. No, that was good.
But on that note, obviously with the NFL draft now
Yes.
in the rear view, the Giants really cashing in the first round, taking um Arvell Reese and Francis Mauigoa in the top 10. And
Did you like the
trading up.
Malinova pick?
That's the one that everyone's been talking about, of course, because Caleb Downs was on the board, and as soon as the Giants didn't take him, Jerry Jones was like, "Oh," and then they traded up, and then they got him,
Yeah.
of course. The
Yeah.
guy, but look, I mean, Caleb Downs is a phenomenal defensive player. I mean, if you've watched him at Ohio State, you know that he's one of the best players in this draft. But I like the Mavigoa pick because it's a long-term investment on Jackson Dart. Because ultimately, Jackson Dart is the future of this franchise. Like I'm not afraid to say it. I think he's proved it that he's probably going to be here for a long time. Um, so I do like the long term investment into him, and keep making sure he stays protected back there. Um, because look, obviously with a healthy Dart, healthy Scadaboo, like this team with John Harbaugh at the helm certainly has potential this year. And I mean, no Super Bowl or bust, nothing like that, of course. But this is the first year where you want to see progress from the Giants. Then maybe 2-3 years down the line, you you start to see that progress really start to unfold. Um, Now, I mean, if you look at some of the other notes from the draft as a whole, I will say, I mean, Fernando Mendoza, of course, was going to be the number one overall pick to the Raiders. Like, we'll see how he is in the NFL. I'm not personally, I'm not super high on him, but I think he can definitely be a reliable quarterback. To
What's your
me,
reasoning
I d-
with
I'm
Mendoza?
not.
Because
I'm
I know
just not so sure.
Dami also is kind of in the same camp with Mendoza as well. He really loves Ty Simpson.
Exactly. Ty Simpson to me looks like the better quarterback, I think, in this draft to me. I mean, I think Mendoza is definitely a great, he's mobile in the pocket. He definitely does have good accuracy, but I think I love Ty Simpson's arm more. I think Ty
Mhm.
Simpson brings the complete package, and especially with that arm strength, there's just something about him on tape that I've seen that I really enjoy watching with him. I mean, I think it was his first 8 games at Alabama. I saw a stat this season that you know 20 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now the back half definitely got little bit rocky, but that's what happens in the SEC. And I mean, it was the shocker of the first round when we found out that he was going to the Rams. I mean, there were so many rumors of him being linked to the Cardinals. And obviously they took Jeremiah Love with the number 3 overall pick, which is a phenomenal asset to have in any offense because I think Jeremiah Love is a workhorse and he's going to be a great back in this league. Um, and that's nothing on Mendoza. I mean, I think Mendoza, I hope it works out because he's one of the most down to earth, personable people,
Yeah.
that you'll meet. I mean, if you just listen to every single interview and every single sit down that he's had with a television network, it's gold. He's great for television, and um, I do hope it works out for him. And obviously, Vegas is going to be ready to put him in the mix probably right away. Um,
Well, don't
I
forget
mean,
they signed
obviously,
Kirk
they
Cousins.
they I was just gonna say though, yes, Kirk Cousins is still probably going to start the season, but I'm not gonna be surprised if after 4 to 6 weeks they're like, okay, we've seen enough of
Oh,
this, and then they
yeah.
throw him
Oh,
they
yeah.
throw him
No,
straight in.
I think that's definitely on the table, but I think because also the situation he's stepping into because now, like Indiana obviously won the national championship and,
Mhm.
of course, he was a main player in that, but now you're stepping into a situation that's, not so great, and obviously there are some pieces around him, with Genty and Brock Bowers, of course, but the offensive line still needs work. The receiving core
Yeah.
is, if you're doing a ranking, the Raiders receiving core is ranked more towards the bottom of the league. So it's a tough situation to step into. So I think now having Kirk Cousins in there to kind of bring him along and mentor him, I think that would definitely help. And you're not throwing him into the fire immediately. But yeah, I think can definitely see a scenario, and I think you could definitely see a scenario even with the Cardinals when they took Carson Beck, where you'll see Jacoby Brissett start. Kirk Cousins is going to start for the Raiders, Brissett for the Cardinals, or unless another quarterback signs there that we were talking about before we were recording. Um, and then you see these guys come in later in the season because to me the Cardinals and the Raiders, I mean, especially with the divisions that they play in, they really the playoffs is not really on the table for them this year. You know, more so the Raiders, obviously. I think the Cardinals, like with their skill position players, you know, their offense can definitely do some damage this year. But the division they play in, those three teams ahead of them made the playoffs last year, and one of them just won the Super Bowl, and two of them were playing in the NFC Championship game. So, I just don't see it happening for the Cardinals. But yeah, you are gonna see these. You're gonna see Mendoza at some point. I mean, you most certainly are gonna see Mendoza at some point. I feel like because being the number one overall pick, and Carson Beck at some point as well for the Cardinals, you'll see him.
Yeah, and again, that's nothing on Mendoza. I
No,
mean, like I said, I really do hope it works out for. I hope it does, but I just something about Ty Simpson's tape that looks a little more appealing to me going into their NFL careers. And I mean, that's nothing to say. Like obviously, Indiana was just a wagon this year in college football. I mean, they were by far and away the best team, best coach, best defense, like really all around. Like they were bound to win the national championship, and I was really happy for them when they did. Um, and like I said, but and it's interesting that like the Rams wanted to trade up to take Ty Simpson because I didn't think he was going to go there at all. And there's a lot of rumors swirling about the videos of McVay and like he doesn't look happy.
I think
I
it's
don't I
just
don't know if I
reading too
really
deep
I don't know
into
if I
it.
read
Yeah.
that much into it because can you really read that much into the inner workings of the draft? Like, I don't know if you can, but I mean, obviously the Rams did have, some other needs, but clearly that's their own version of a long-term investment because, Matthew Stafford's only going to be around another, I'd say maybe 1, 2 more good years he's probably got left. I
Yeah,
mean, like, yeah,
and he's coming off
probably,
an
probably
MVP.
he can probably go another 2 years, but
Yeah, and he
like,
just won the MVP.
right, right. But I mean, clearly, like the Rams are, looking towards their future as well. So like that's what that move signified. All I can say though, Kenny, is having to see Caleb Downs and Mekhi Lemon in the same division as us. That's gonna be something. Because I think Mekhi
Well,
Lemon is another.
the Eagles are probably trading AJ Brown, so it's addition by subtraction.
Well, that's true too. Right? And what else? Where else could be a better fit for AJ Brown? Because the Lynx right now are putting him with the New England Patriots. Everything's going fine up in Foxborough right now, right? Yeah, right. Everything's okay. Good.
Yeah, hey, I mean, listen, they made it to the Super Bowl. Like we didn't expect that to happen, right?
They did.
They
They
did get
sure
beat
did.
up a little bit. Drake May got beat up a little bit, but you know what? They did make it to the Super Bowl. It looks like they have their franchise quarterback. They know, the defense is pretty good. They knew what they had to address, and they patch up the offensive line, give Drake May a number one receiver. So, Patriots are going to be good again. I mean, now we'll see if they can get back to the Super Bowl. I right now I would not pick for them to do that, but
No.
bringing AJ Brown in, that that's a good move. They got to get him the ball though, because if not, then he's going to want to go somewhere else, and the cycle will continue.
Yeah, and and other thing too in the NFL offseason, it's an omen. The Bills probably aren't going to win the Super Bowl again this year because you see what happened at the Sabres game in Game 2. Josh Allen pounds the drum, chugs a beer on camera, and then the Sabres lose at home. Not good
Uh,
for the city of Buffalo. Not good.
that this past year or last year, because now we're more into this year. Uh, that was their best chance. That was their best chance, and usually with these playoff losses, it comes down to the defense or when Bass missed that field goal a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. You really don't put the blame on Josh Allen. I'm sorry. This was the year where I was like, this is on Josh Allen. I don't care if there was a kick that was missed. I don't care. The defense couldn't stop Bo Nix. I don't care. Josh Allen is the reason why the Bills didn't make it to the Super Bowl. He and look, he got them back in the game, and obviously, they were in a position where they could have won the game, but turnovers. I mean, the turnover before the end of the first half, inexcusable. Like, what are you trying to do? And then he throws a pick when they're driving. I think it was either first half or second. It doesn't matter. I mean, then the pick in overtime. Also, I mean, that was more of just a great play by the cornerback of Denver, ripping the ball away from Brandon Cooks. But I mean, Josh Allen, you don't turn the ball over, you win that game. And you know what? And the proof of that is Josh Allen after the game, how upset he was because he knew this was on me. I lost the game for my team. And it's just frustrating because Josh Allen is so great, and he puts the team on his back time and time again. And you're saying to yourself, how does a great quarterback like this guy, you know, how do you not have a Super Bowl yet? He's got the MVP, but now how do you not get yourself to a Super Bowl? And this was the year to do it because there was no Chiefs, right? There was no Ravens. Like you had a chance. You were going up against guys that, like, Bo Nix was making his second career playoff start. You knocked him off the previous year. And then it was either going to be Drake May or CJ Stroud, which, the way CJ Stroud was playing, you knew the Patriots are going to win, especially in the home field. That was a mess. I mean, CJ Stroud with
Disastrous.
turnovers. Oh, man. So it was right there. And And then we got robbed with the AFC Championship game because then all of a sudden you see the news with Bo Nix and you're like, what? When did this happen? So
And what's crazy is that, Jared Stidham and the Broncos hung around that entire game.
I know they did. And if it wasn't for that one turnover they had in the first half that the Patriots turned into 7 points, and then also like they went for it on fourth down earlier in the game when they should have went for the field goal.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have just took the points and didn't turn the ball over, then Denver would have been the Super. But again, they wouldn't have won with Stidham against Seattle's defense. I mean, you look at what Seattle did to Drake May. Seattle against Jared Stidham. I mean, that game would have been even. That would have been 43-8 2.0. It would have been 48
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, it would not have been good. But
I know. And so
uh,
obviously so many people were saying that, oh, the Bills should have been in the AFC championship. And, because of all right. You know what? We haven't even talked about that because I think we haven't even done a show since. So was it an interception?
I I honestly, so I thought it was a catch because Brandon Cooks had the ball and his knee was down. So I was of the impression that he has the ball, his knee's down, Ty goes to the receiver, plays dead, Bill's got the ball set up for a field goal. That's what I thought. But then I'm like, our group chat was saying, "Oh yeah, that's a pick." So I'm like, I guess I'm an idiot then because I don't really know. So I thought
Yeah.
initially it was a catch and that the Bills were going to have the ball at whatever it was, 35, wherever they were at that point.
To to me, I think they got it right, but I don't even feel confident in saying it because
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to push back
it's
on
the
it,
whole
but
it's the whole survive the ground thing.
yeah,
Like,
that's what's tripping me up.
I mean, the one there's like a specific angle that was out there that does kind of show it like just enough. Like, Cooks doesn't completely finish the process or whatever all the language was. So I think they got it right, but I don't I don't know.
Imagine if
It's
the
it's one
replacement
of
of
the biggest
imagine
it's
the
one of the
replacement
biggest
officials
what
were on the call for
ifs.
that.
They'd say jump ball like NBA.
It'd be like yeah, it'd be the same thing as the Golden Tate touchdown that should have been an interception. You'd have one guy going like this, and you'd have one guy going like this.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like I said, it's definitely going to be one of the biggest what ifs, um, in sports. We, I'm not going to say we were well, we were kind of robbed in the AFC Championship with Bo Nix, but um, at the same time, maybe we were robbed of getting the Bills in on a very controversial call. Now to
Well,
me, forever, what's going to be the most playoff controversy? The Tommy Lee Lewis and Nickel Roby Coleman penalty, like the no pass
oh,
interference in
yeah.
CTMs, that is the
Yeah.
worst no call I've ever seen in a playoff game.
You
Not even
coulda saw Drew
close.
Brees and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Right. The NFL hated fun. Instead, we had to see Jared Goff and Tom Brady duel it out in a 13-3 game. There was nothing happening in that Super Bowl.
No.
Nothing.
I
And
mean, that
honestly,
was probably that was the worst Super Bowl I ever watched.
and honestly, maybe I'm a bit of a Debbie Downer, but this past year's Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Patriots was,
Oh, no.
it's
No,
just
no,
kind of
no, no, you're valid. You're valid on that point. It wasn't really that
because
exciting. Touchdowns
the
weren't until the
the
4th quarter.
right, and somehow Drake May found Mac
We
Hollins
almost
on
had
like
it.
a 40-yard deep route, yeah, to get the
And
Patriots on the board.
if you think about it, at one point in the game, you're probably thinking to yourself, "Is a kicker going to win Super Bowl MVP?"
Yeah, because when Jason Myers had 5 field goals, it's like Kenneth Walker, did have 150, 160 yards, and ironically now he's on the Chiefs. But he didn't he didn't even score a touchdown, and he won Super Bowl MVP. But that's just how flatlined that game was. I mean,
Yeah,
I was thinking too, like the Seahawks defense was really on it for most of the game. I figured, one of
yeah.
them could have been in the mix. Who was the one that got the pick six? Was it like Boye Mafe? I can't remember who it was, but like the Seahawks defense was in the
Was it
mix too.
Ime
But
no, it's Ime
oh
Worry?
wait, Nick
Wait,
Nick Imanwari? It could have been Imanwari, but either
it might
way,
have been
like
him.
yeah, but
You shoulda
either way,
gave it to
like
the whole defense. I mean, the way they played.
they could have just done that. I mean, that would have made more sense. But yeah, Jason Myers was the first kicker ever to make 5 field goals in a Super Bowl game. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, well, we all remember that, it was Jake Moody and Harrison Bucker in Super Bowl 58. So, the kicking traits have carried over, I guess, into the
Mhm.
Super Bowl the last couple of years. But um, yeah, like it's yeah, there's just like, and obviously, shout out to the Seahawks. Like, they definitely had one of the best defenses, if not the best, in the NFL all season, and they were a deserving world champion. But yeah, anyways, notice how it's May and we're jumping back to January. That's how long it's been since we've done a show. So I just had to hear what your thoughts were on the interception in Bills Broncos. But yeah, but hey, you know what? Maybe you know what? Let's include the Sabres in this whole New York conversation. They
Okay.
they are part of New York sports, right? Like that's what I
That's
think.
yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, but they're upstate and we're the
Well, we
city.
just
It's like
talked well, yeah, we just talked about the Bills, so yeah, why not?
right. It's like so. If you throw the Sabres into the fold now, all of a sudden, there's another team that I guess is in the mix for a championship. Maybe. I mean,
Well,
I'll
yeah.
tell you one thing. This series they have with the Canadians is wide open. I don't know
Mhm.
who's winning it. Like it's gonna go 6 or 7 games. Somebody's gonna come out bloody and beaten probably at the end of it. But I mean, look, Buffalo is another franchise that's been hungry for a championship. The
Yeah,
Sabres,
because 'cause they've
because
been bad for so long, the Sabres.
yeah, the first time they won a playoff series since 2007. That's how long it's
Wow.
been. But look, it's good to see. And in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the second round, you have Buffalo, Anaheim, Philadelphia, and
Mhm.
Minnesota, all franchises who have really struggled. Now, of course, Minnesota and Philadelphia are already down 2-0. Anaheim
Yeah.
might go down 2-0 against Vegas soon. So, they're not, they get through a round and now they might get, beat up, but whatever. At least they're making some noise in the playoffs, but um yeah, look, Buffalo's got to hang their hats on the Sabres right now because I don't know about the Bills, but we'll see.
Yeah, the Bills are gonna be good, at least. I mean,
They will.
you
They'll
know,
be a
it's
playoff team. They'll be a playoff team. They
they could
should
win the
be in
division.
the mix. Yeah.
I mean, the
Yep.
Patriot yeah, I mean, the Patriots did win it, obviously, but, it's gonna be between those 2 teams. The Dolphins and Jets obviously are rebuilding.
But
I
still,
I
at
guess
the
what
end,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it is pretty amazing to have a conversation in 2026 where it's like, who has a better chance at a championship in Buffalo, the Sabres or the Bills? Because right now it's pretty dang
Yeah, you wouldn't be
pretty
having
darn
those
close.
conversations a few years ago, yeah.
Pretty
I get
close.
what'd you think about the Jets draft?
Um, Interesting that they took David Bailey because
Mhm.
I was expecting them to take Arvell Reese.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think we all were, yeah.
a lot of people were. I mean, David Bailey was part of that great Texas Tech defense this year, and I
Mhm.
mean, he's very talented. Like, I think that was definitely a really solid pick. Yeah, and then obviously
The
they
Sadiq
took
pick,
Kenyon Sadiq also
yeah.
as their first round pick, the tight end from Oregon, a very talented offensive player. I think I like they definitely needed, a tight end, so it was a smart pick in that regard. And then who was their next? Oh,
D
yeah, that's right. They took
Campbell
D'Angelo
Jr.?
Pons.
Oh, okay, yeah,
D'Angelo
yeah.
Pons,
Yeah, that was the
like
corner, right?
he was part of that great Indiana defense.
Mhm.
And like I think he's phenomenal. Like That's a great pick, in my eyes, and then obviously
Cooper
the
Jr., the receiver.
yep, yeah, Omar Cooper Jr.
Mhm,
Um, yeah, and then they took obviously Cade Klubnik in
mhm,
the 4th round as their quarterback pick. Again, I don't know. Cade Klubnik is another one where I I I mean I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to
mhm.
be a great quarterback in this league. It's really just hard to say. Um, but yeah, like I think both New York teams had strong drafts. I mean,
Yeah, no,
addressed a
I do
lot of
too.
needs. Now this is the year we're going to find out if, Aaron Glenn is, a legitimate like head coach or not cuz now he's got some more talent and
Mhm.
he's going to have to find a way to make, good use of it. I mean, I feel obviously great about Harbaugh cuz Harbaugh is going to be, at least I believe, a Hall of Fame coach and he's just going to hopefully add on to it here in New York. Um, but yeah, like we need, I mean, Aaron Glenn's crowning me moment of the year was him dancing down the sideline in Tampa in week 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then they ended
remember
up
when the
losing the
Jets beat?
game.
Remember that? Yeah, remember that? Yeah. Oof. But
Yeah, that it
yeah,
was a rough. I
look,
mean, it was a rough finish to the year for the Jets too. I mean, after they traded Sauce and Quinnen Williams, I mean, they did
right.
very well with the trades because of the draft capital they got, but just having to sit through those games at the end of the year and the way their defense was, they couldn't stop anything.
It was atrocious, Kenny. And I think we've both been saying it for years. Can we just have New York football be relevant in December at least again? Because for the last really 5, 6 years, it's been longer than that. Both the Giants and the Jets have hardly played any meaningful football in December, except for the year that the Giants get into the playoffs and Daniel Jones throws for 400 yards against the Vikings and they win. But outside of that one year, which was a flash in the pan, apparently at this point, like there's just it's been over by the end of October.
Yeah, I know.
There's just nothing
I know.
good
It's
to
been a
talk
rough
about with New
stretch.
York football. Well, like we need some relevancy back with these teams, and
Yeah.
hopefully, especially with Harbaugh, I think the Giants are definitely going to be the team that's in a better position to do that right now.
Oh yeah.
But the Jets, if you give them another year or two, I think if they work, some of these draft picks into the mix, they could be good. I don't expect too much out of them this year personally. Like they'll probably have, 6, 7 wins, I think is realistic for the
I
Giants.
mean,
I'm
and
looking
I think some people look at you cross-eyed at giving them 7 wins, but
I mean, they could. They
no, I
could,
I
but
do I I do think I think they should be better. I look, I think the Geno Smith move has been turned into a meme because, of how it ended
yeah.
off, but and also how he played last year with the Raiders, but the Jets' offensive line isn't that bad. You got Breece Hall,
Mhm.
you added a couple more pass catchers to the mix. The A.D. Mitchell trade, when they got the draft picks and got A.D. Mitchell when they traded Sauce, like, he looks like he's gonna be a player for them, and obviously you have Garrett Wilson. Like, Geno's got a better supporting cast around him than he did in Vegas. Well, obviously Brock Bowers and Genti are good, but like a complete offense around him than the Raiders. Raiders is still, and the Jets obviously still need to add more, but the Jets offense is definitely in a better position than what the
Right.
Raiders is right now, because
By the way,
they don't have
the
number
Jets
one wide
projected
receiver.
win total. The Jets projected win total 5.5 currently.
Okay, all right.
The Giants are at 8.5.
See, I'm taking the over.
I
I'm
think
taking the
so
over.
too. I think so. The Giants should definitely be knocking on the door, if not in the playoffs this year. I think.
Yeah,
Like I
see,
said,
and you know what? That's scary though, us being optimistic about the Giants because you know what happens.
false hope, right? As we
Yep,
said earlier in the
exactly,
program.
exactly.
That's how it goes. But yeah, look, we're at the point of the year right now. It's like to me, the draft. This is how the NFL cycle goes, right? Because You have the draft, then you have the schedule release. Like this is the start of where, you start to get all this, hope like, oh my God, we're so back. Like it's going to be a new season. Then, it's kind of a little bit back burner throughout the summer. It's like, sipping the pina coladas on the beaches, waiting for those Sundays, football
Yep.
days again. And, all that. And then it comes back. Then it's like, oh yeah, we're so back. Let's go football. And then by October, like, I'm so done. I'm so done with this team. And then you're
I'm like,
finally like in
but
January,
please,
thank
I need
God
red
it's
zone.
over.
I
Yeah, in
need red
January,
zone.
you're
I need
finally
the
like,
Sunday ticket.
yeah. Yeah. And then in January, you're like, oh, thank God it's over. What a train wreck of a year. That's just how it goes. But this is why
Yeah.
we're in it for the long haul. The NFL, look, the NFL's already announced that they're kicking off the season on a Wednesday, and the Rams and the Seahawks, are in Australia?
The Niners.
Niners. I knew it was another NFC West team. But
That's the
so,
Friday, right?
oh, that's the Friday? I thought that was going to be the Thursday. But see, you can't even keep track.
Well,
But
no. Well,
anyways,
isn't the third? Well, no, isn't the Thursday going to be the Seahawks and whoever, right? It's usually the
I think
Thursday.
I thought that was Wednesday.
No, I think Wednesday's some other international game. So I think there's going to be a game on
What?
Wednesday, a game on Thursday, and then a game on Friday,
Yeah,
right?
games on a Sunday and
And then
Monday.
all they need is a game on Tuesday, and you got everything. I'm telling
It's
you,
ter-
the pandemic set the blueprint because they're like, oh, okay, we can play a game every single day of the week as long as we, space out certain games
Yep.
with certain teams appropriately.
And
Set the blueprint.
You know what's the worst part about this? It just fuels our obsession with the NFL even more. That's why we love it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, but it does kind of backfire because think about the Christmas games, right? Like before the year started, you were like, "Oh, we got the Commanders and the Cowboys. Cowboys are going to be better with Dak playing the whole year. The Commanders just made it to the championship game. Then it's like, "Oh, we got a rematch of Week 17 between the Lions and the Vikings. Both those teams won 14 games the previous year." And then you got the Chiefs and the Broncos as the late game. And what happened? We had backup quarterback galore on Christmas.
Yeah, Santa wasn't leaving any gifts for those teams this year. I'll tell you that much.
No, no, and I like, obviously, they were you know what? The games on Christmas to me,
Look,
other than the first game, they were background noise. That's what they were.
and this is why the NFL's great and we love it, but as soon as they went to 17 games, I'm sorry, it has watered down the product since it has. And
Yeah.
Goodell's like, oh, we're gonna go to 18, and then we might go to 20. It's like, yeah, let's just do 30 while we're at it. I mean,
You know what? Why don't we
go
just
big.
play 162 like baseball does? Why not? You're not gonna have anybody
Jackson Dart would be limping out of the field by game 40.
be limping out after game 1.
Look, but you know what? At the end of the day, what does the NFL care about? Money. That's what every major sports organization cares about, and that's why they're doing this. Okay, so we have it all cleared. Okay,
All right.
so week 1, it's going to be the Seahawks hosting. Actually, do we have? Wait, Google
No,
AI
I
is
don't think
wrong.
I
Do we not have the opponent? We don't have
No,
the
no,
opponent.
I don't think we do yet.
Oh no, you're right. We really don't. Okay, no. So
Wait, so
NFL
they're kicking
kickoff.
off Wednesday?
Yes, NFL kickoff is Wednesday night, September 9th on NBC. Seahawks against TBD. We're going to find out when the schedule comes out.
Okay.
Then Melbourne, Australia, 49ers Rams Thursday.
So nothing Friday.
I guess not.
All right. So now,
On Friday.
so what? From here on out, it's going to be kickoff on Wednesday
I don't know. I mean,
because
the
the
NFL.
last couple of years it was Thursday, and then you had the game in Brazil, and then obviously everything Sunday, and then you got Monday.
Well, the thing is, there is for the sports media nerds out there like myself, there is a clause somewhere in a broadcasting contract that the NFL is not supposed to interfere with Friday nights during a specific time of the year because of high school football. That is a legitimate thing. They have to work around that. They somehow were able to avoid that with the Eagles Packers
Packers.
game in Brazil,
Yeah.
but
And then last year
and
was Chargers
appar-
Chiefs.
barely Chargers Chiefs was avoidable too. But whatever, I don't know. They
Well,
write
it's
their own
because
rules,
it was played on YouTube TV, right? Yeah.
right? No, but like I think this year it was like too late or something to do a Friday game. I don't know. I don't know all the inner workings of it.
Oh, oh,
I'm not gonna go
okay.
down that rabbit hole. But anyways, I'm sure the NFL was like, well, we don't really want to open the season in Australia, so let's just open it in Seattle and then put that Australia game on Thursday. But I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Like I said, soon enough we're going to be going to Abu Dhabi, and then we're going to go to Hong Kong, and then Beijing, and then maybe while we're at it, we might as well just go to Brazil again. And have
Go
the
to
whole season
Antarctica.
there.
Build a stadium in Antarctica. Have the
I,
ice bowl.
Look, and I'm all for the NFL wanting to do all these international games, but it is starting to get to a point where it's like, at this
But you know
point,
what? You know what?
maybe they just want to have the Super Bowl in London by 2050. I just don't know.
Yeah, and it's gonna be on Peacock. So you got to have a Peacock subscription to watch it.
And you'll hear "Welcome to Super Bowl '95 from Wembley Stadium," and it's like, oh gosh. Like,
But you know what's gonna happen? But the problem is now is you're also taking games away from Sunday. So before you know it, you're gonna have 3 games on Monday. You're gonna have you're gonna have 2 games on Wednesday. You're gonna have a quadruple header on Friday night. We're gonna start from 9 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. And there's gonna be like 2 games on. There's gonna be like 5 games on Sunday. You'll have the Sunday night game,
exactly.
2
And
1 o'clock games, and 2 4
the
o'clock games.
problem we already have with Sundays is that these marquee matchups are all in prime time, right? So on Sunday, the primary 1 o'clock game on your local Fox station is like Raiders Chiefs. It's like what are we
Yeah,
doing?
and
Like,
they won like they beat the Raiders like 31-0 in the 1 o'clock slot last year. Like I don't want to watch that.
exactly. It's a
Oh,
mess.
for
And like I
fantasy,
said,
yeah.
Kenny, it's terrible. Sports are just getting bigger and better. And for someone like me who watches 9 different sports, I don't have time because you
No,
got to
you
be
don't
home.
have time. Well, I mean, you're surrounded by plenty of screens where you are, so you're able to.
You're right. You're right about that. We're gonna have to start utilizing all of them. I mean,
Yeah, I
no
mean that's what
choice.
you did. That's what you did in college. You had
But
8 games on your little laptop. You had 1 game on your TV. You had a game on your phone. You had everything.
also, while we're on it, a brief one, a brief Upson Unleashed. Okay, you ready?
Oh wow,
Oh,
go right ahead.
we got something to say about this. Okay, so last week the NCAA. It's been talked about all year, mind you.
This is about
Just
March Madness, right?
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it is. And so I'll tell you one thing. The NCAA decides to have this marvelous idea of expanding the NCAA tournament field in basketball from 68 to 76 teams. And I'm going to tell you why that's not going to work. Because if you look at the bubble from this past season, all right, you had those teams like Auburn, San Diego State, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, all of those. You know, I don't care what the NCAA says. They can say everything they want about, oh, well, this is going to open up the door for more mid major schools to get an opportunity to get in the tournament. Yeah, like heck. Like heck. You're telling me it's all because Bruce Pearl was aura farming Auburn all year long. Like, well, they had one of the toughest schedules in the SEC. They had 4 quad 1-1 wins. I don't care. I don't want to see a 17-16 Auburn team anywhere near that field. 76 teams is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And once again, Kenny, what's it about? Say it with me. Money. It's all about the money.
Money.
And the worst part is that the first four is not going to be the first 4 anymore. Have you seen what the supposed proposal is?
I haven't. Wait, what is it?
So it's going to become like the first 12.
Oh wait, yeah. Actually, no. I
And
think yeah.
it's going to be
I
like
saw that.
2 16s, 2 15s, 2 14s, 2 13s. It's like, what are we doing?
Just so
And
you
now,
could get blown out in the first round.
Yeah,
for
well, I'll
some
tell you one thing.
teams.
The NCAA has killed the perfect bracket now. The perfect bracket, you might as well just burn your bracket before you even fill it out because
Hey, you know what?
you
I
can have,
actually did pretty good because I had UConn and Michigan in the championship, but
hey,
UConn did end
that's
up losing
good.
though.
That's good. But now you're gonna have to fill out, a 1 versus a 24 and a 2 versus a 23 now. It's like, what are we doing? It's atrocious.
I know,
It's
and you know what? It's gonna make you go nuts because you do like 25 brackets.
exactly. And now you're telling me now I have to analyze, 20 more teams who might have a shot at the bubble who are sub 500. And then you get in the field. It's ridiculous. It just,
Wow,
it
man, you
just,
really went off. You throwing stuff.
it just blows my mind how we can take something that's been so cherished and so honored year after year, and now we have to turn it into this grand theatrical show for money. It's just, I
Yeah, but like
don't
you
get
said,
it.
it's like that with every sport. We got 3 wild card teams in both leagues in baseball. You got the play-in tournament for basketball,
Yeah.
the NFL expanded playoffs, and think about the scheduling. It used to be you had 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Then all of a sudden you had more wild card teams. Then you had 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. Then you're like, "No, we got to make sure ESPN gets its Monday night game." So now you got 2 games Saturday, 3 Sunday, 1 Monday. I mean, just oh my god. It's too
It's a
much.
disaster. It is an absolute disaster. And let's not forget, people, there's expansion with the World Cup too, because this is the first ever year that we have 48 teams up from 32. All because we want to help the United States. Hurrah! Anyway, I there's just too many games. And look, I'm still going to be there for every one of them. I'm just going to have to, forget my entire life and just, sit down and watch more of these games. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's
you're gonna
just
have to cut a bunch of highlights.
oh yeah, it'll be like, yes, so you're gonna cut UC Irvine against San Diego State in the first 12. Like, no, 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 no. I can't. It's just so. Anyways,
Well, maybe
that that
Quinnipiac will make the tournament finally.
that was the mini Upson Unleashed. Make sure you freeze frame this for the still shot because
I gotta
it's just
make that. You know what? I'm gonna make that.
it just racks my brain. That's what I'm saying. I don't get it, man. 76 teams.
Well,
76.
well, no, like I said, maybe Quinnipiac will make the tournament finally.
You know what? There's the bright side. I always like looking for a bright side, so maybe that's finally going to be it. Quinnipiac
Yeah,
finally makes it.
the Quinnipiac men's
Finally.
team finally makes it to the tournament because they've
And,
fallen
and
short in the
look,
back
and
a
look.
couple
In all
years in a row.
seriousness, in all seriousness, okay, maybe it's going to help give these smaller schools opportunities, but I swear, if we're seeing like a seventh, no, not even a seventh place, if we're seeing like a 13th place SEC team and like a 12th place Big Ten team meet each other in there, like, no, no, no. Nobody wants to see that. It's like, if we're actually going to use it to help the smaller schools, that's one thing. But it sounds like it's just going to be another, one big, party of the power schools getting a
Yeah, but
chance to
and the other
get
thing
another
too is like,
chance.
and the other thing too is last year we saw 4 1 seeds make it to the Final Four, right? And then this year
Hmm.
in the championship, it was a 1 against the 2. Like the last couple of years, you really have. I mean, yeah, there obviously are upsets, but you haven't really seen like a lower seed team make a
Right.
really deep run in the tournament. Because also you got to factor in the NIL and the transfer portal and all that. So now,
Hmm.
so it's meaningless. But like you said, it's for money. It's for money.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. More games, more money. That's how it's going in every sport. And like I
And you know
said,
what? And they know we're gonna watch. They know we're gonna watch.
one silver lining for the NFL though this season is that at least, knock on wood, it sounds like the NFL, like NFL Red Zone, could potentially be on regular ESPN this year. Potentially.
Okay.
That's what it's been
Listen.
talked about. That's what's been talked about amongst the. It's not any inside information. But it's actually been talked about that it could be on
Mhm.
ESPN this year. So there's your silver
Okay.
lining for that.
All right. Listen,
So
I mean, if the Giants
like
and
I said,
Jets aren't that good, that's where I'm gonna be.
that yeah, exactly. It'll be like, oh well, oh like wait, we had to go out for dinner tonight. Nah, honey, I can't. We got the Seahawks against the Patriots Wednesday night football. Sorry. This is this is where we
A
are.
Wednesday
More,
night.
it just doesn't
Oh,
feel. It does not feel right.
no.
We grew up on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. What's funny is that up until 8 to 10 years ago, there was no NFL Christmas unless it fell on a Thursday or a Sunday. Now
Yeah.
every year it's like, oh, let's just put a game on. Let's put games on Christmas.
Let's put 3 games on Christmas. 2
Celebrate the
on Netflix.
season.
Games on Netflix.
Jingle
When was that?
bells, jingle bells. Patrick Mahomes and Drake May. Like, I mean, I just.
With that Netflix, it's like, oh yeah, where you watch, Stranger Things. No, there's gonna be we got NFL games on Netflix now.
Oh, it gets worse because wait till the people realize. Actually, I'll just tell them right now, folks. Starting in 2027, you're gonna have to watch an NBA Conference Finals series every other year on Prime.
Yeah,
This is where we're
yeah,
going. This is
I know.
where we're
Like,
going.
I know it went
As
from
is
we went from
Knicks as is Knicks Sixers game 3 Friday night on Prime.
yeah, and we went from it was just TNT and ESPN/ABC to now it's Prime, ESPN, ABC, Peacock, and Prime.
Yep, this is where we're going.
Yeah, yeah, it's not gonna stop. It's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep on going. And
Just like this show, and we've hit almost 2 hours, if you can believe it.
well, we gotta shave some time off of it because we had some technical issues, and I had to let my dog out of my room because she was I had a live studio audience earlier in the show, but yeah, but that's usually what happens with us. So, but yeah, it's like the radio show, 2 hours, and then we're done.
And it goes by in the blink of an eye. And the best part, no commercial interruptions.
That's right. That's right. We didn't have to play any well, the other thing too is the people that watch, they don't have the joy of listening to when, before the show or going into break, you'd have like 5 YouTube clips up and you'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna play this, then this, then this, then this." It'd be like some kind of edit that you made prior to the show. They don't have that luxury of hearing that because there was plenty of those times when you had to do that.
Yeah, look,
Um,
I wasn't really the smartest, most time efficient editor, so all I did was I had 6 different YouTube clips on me hitting play, 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 play the whole time.
and you know what? It worked. It worked.
It did. Hey,
And
what do they
actually,
say? What do they say, everybody? Fake it till you make it, right? That's how it goes.
exactly, exactly. And what's funny? I was out with my cousin last night. He's gonna be starting a new job coaching baseball, but this was the cousin. You'll remember this. It was the last show that we did, right? And it was the first
Mhm.
time we had to use the dump button.
Yeah, I remember that. I
Because that was
remember
the
it.
show that we had, like, all, like, I had family, friends call in, and we probably didn't have to use the dump button, but because we had it ingrained in our brain, like, if you hear a curse word, hit the dump button, and without any hesitation, when we heard and it wasn't, like, the worst curse word in the world, it was sugar honey iced tea, but you without hesitation, you immediately hit the dump button.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, technically, you don't want the FCC listening in, but I think we were
Well,
okay.
when you're
Right.
yeah, I mean, when you're out of a certain range, I mean, because Quinnipiac's signal with the radio station, I mean, you
Yeah, you go down to Ray and Mike's Deli, you lose the signal beyond there. It's in Hamden.
yeah, oh man, but yeah, I had to throw that in, but yeah, again, it goes very fast, almost 2 hours we recorded here. Any other things you want to bring up before we wrap it up here?
Well, I think I got the mini Upson Unleashed off my
Yeah,
chest.
you
So I
did.
mean
That was a welcoming sight. Upset Unleashed.
yeah.
And just
Remember
imagine if
when
we
we
were in the
did that
studio
open?
and you did that.
Remember when we did that? He's seething with rage.
Yes. Oh, I do. I do. No, it was one of the best parts of the show.
Those were the days. But no, I think look, we hit about just about everything in these 2 hours. We hit about every corner of New York sports. We even reminisced on the NFL playoffs, which were 3.5 months ago already.
I know.
And
I
soon
know.
enough we'll recap March Madness in June since we're on a 3-month delay. So.
I know. Because I was in Greece. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning in Greece listening to the national championship game on Sirius XM.
Wow, that's right. I mean, see, this is another thing. You know what? This opens the door for another Upson Unleashed question. Okay, people complaining about times of games. Why do we care? What does it matter if the Knicks are
Well,
playing at 7 or 10:30? I'm watching the game. I don't care. And everybody's like, everybody goes to their keyboards. Oh my god, 10:30. What are they not have any respect for the East Coast? It's like, yeah. Think about the people overseas. Their Sunday night football is Monday morning football because it's 2 a.m. in Europe when they're watching, Chiefs Bengals or whatever it is. Like, it's like just the people need to stop complaining about the little things. It's like if you really like what you want to watch, kill your sleep schedule. Who needs sleep anyway?
but
It doesn't
but
matter.
also another alternative, and it's tougher to do now, but you t- you DVR it, right?
Right.
Try to stay off your phone and you watch it the next day. You could do that also. You
See,
skip
and
the
that's the thing. But now,
commercials.
everybody's got to be so instantaneous. Oh my God. Oh, whoa, wow. I just got an alert that Patrick Mahomes threw a 34-yard pass to, Sammy Watkins. Like, I don't, who
Sammy
cares?
Watkins isn't even on the Chiefs anymore. He's been on the Chiefs in 5 years.
That's the joke. That's the whole point of it.
Oh man. Uh, all right. Well,
Anyways,
I th-
but
that yeah, but
that's all.
yeah,
Let's go
that's it.
Knicks. Let's go Yankees. 2026 is our year, baby. Let's make it happen. Come on.
Yeah, and I just want to add. I know again. I always say this, and then it doesn't come to fruition. But we are gonna try. I am gonna try. We are gonna try to coordinate at least one day a week, if we can, where we do one of these shows. Because I think we have some room to do that. And if we could do that at least once a week, that would be great. So we're gonna try to do that. We got to be good with communication, more on my side, but we will communicate with each other, see what days work, and we will try to put out shows at least once a week with both of us. And obviously, I'll have the shows that I do by myself as well. And if me and Dami do videos, which we've done over the last couple weeks with the draft, but we're gonna try to do that. So, if you care, if you care enough about that, good. If not, then this doesn't mean anything to you. So, anyways, uh, that's pretty much it. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, along with Ben Upson. Have a good one. And at some point, both of us will talk to you next time. Take care.
Adios.